Welcome to S Korea 360, where we talk about everything Korea. My name is Are.
Yo, this is David.
Okay, this is your number one source for everything Korea. So, coming up on today's show, are expats living the Korean dream or facing a reality check? A new survey reveals what foreigners really think about life in South Korea, so stay tuned to find out more about that. And also, ever had culture shock that left you speechless? So we're gonna dive into the surprises and the adjustments foreigners make while settling into South Korea. Don't go away. But first, David, please let's dive into the trending news.
All right, trending news in 360. Ready?
Let's go.
The first news, 4 in 10 teachers are severely depressed. So I know it's the first news story, but it's the reality here. A recent study by the Korean Teachers and Education Workers Union revealed that the mental health stats for teachers in South Korea, well, nearly 4 in 10 have reported severe depression.
A lot.
1 in 6 considered suicide.
Very sad.
That's far higher than the general population of other people in other occupations. High levels of consultations with parents and incidents of verbal and physical violence were cited as major stressors. So parents complaining about the kids' education or
Right.
how the teacher should behave when the kids are around,
Right.
things like that. So that got them really stressed out. So I think you're a teacher in Korea.
I am.
When you saw this news story, what was your first impression?
To be honest, I was a little bit shocked. I had been teaching, for Korea for a long time.
Yeah.
But my first couple years, I taught at the elementary school. Then I moved on to university, so I don't have to deal with any parents
Right.
at the university sometimes. But
And I think parents at university students are a little different than parents at elementary.
parents should not be getting involved in university students'
they're grown-up
lives. They're
students.
literally grown-ups,
Yeah.
right? But I know it's worse at Hagwons, right? But in public school, I found teachers to be highly respected, right? But I think because of the more competitive nature of Korea, I think parents are putting more pressure on the teachers for the students' performance, right? And as you heard, maybe you've heard or not over the past summer, teachers, going through a lot of undue stress in Korea. So when I first heard this, I was a little bit surprised because I always thought that public school teachers were a little bit more respected.
I mean, that's the general idea that I get as well with the public teachers here. But there are so many different
Aspects.
and facets to this story. One, I mean, we live in a media world. Any complaint made, we can all have internet access and see who's complaining what. And so we have
Right.
more stats on that now.
Right.
So we could have had the same number of depression 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
That's true.
But we're getting more exposure now because we have access to complain.
Right.
But even with that aside, what I noticed was I did have elementary education here for 2 years before moving to Canada.
Okay.
And at the time when I had the elementary education, I went to a school, and the school was called 국민학교.
Okay.
Now the elementary school changed to 초등학교. The whole title itself, the
Okay.
naming itself. So what the difference was, I know it's you're such an old guy, but back then, teachers were allowed to hit students,
Ah.
but the law changed,
Right.
and now they can't,
Discipline.
abuse or discipline students.
Right.
Which, I mean, there should always be a moderation in
For
everything.
sure. There's pros and cons.
Yeah, there's pros and cons, and I won't go into that much detail, but because there's none of that punishment anymore towards the students, they've kind of gained a lot of control over how classrooms can be, it can be hectic from time to time for the teachers.
I will say one thing. I was talking to a public school teacher, and they mentioned that parents have their number. Sometimes they're in a group chat.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then sometimes, a teacher will have their profile pic on the social media website or whatever.
Oh.
And sometimes there might be in a bikini or whatever.
I've seen those.
Right. And the parents will contact the teacher directly, like,
Man,
yo,
leave them alone.
yo, what are you doing? You can't be doing this. What about the children, right? So.
Why, you don't have a life, lady?
Right. So like, I don't know, man. I do resonate with the teachers because they have a lot of stress
Yeah.
already.
Right.
Right. David, do you think these statistics resonate with English, with the expat English teachers at all, or no?
I think it's a little different for the expats. A lot different
100%,
because,
yeah.
I mean, first of all, I don't think most parents can communicate to the expat teachers in English. I mean, no offense, Korea, but like a lot of the Korean parents I know, they can't speak enough English to have proper communication with the expats who are teachers here.
Right.
And so they would just relay any complaints that they have to the homeroom teacher
Exactly,
who speaks
and
the Korean language. He or she might filter things out and reword
Literally
it.
soften it.
Exactly. So like whatever, maybe she said a triangle, but then they'll relay a freaking rectangle, right?
Right.
The message is distorted. Right. And so it's a little different, and I think what expat teachers are going through, the stress that they're going through is a little different than what the Korean teachers are going through.
I'll say this. A lot of expats complain that, hey, we never get treated, we always get treated as a foreigner here, right? We're never considered as a Korean, no matter how hard we work or how good we speak the language, and I understand that. But take the good with the bad.
Yeah,
you never have that pressure.
You don't have to deal with the
You never have that pressure that the Korean teachers will have as a foreign teacher.
For sure. It's always like a pro and con thing.
It's all about how you look at it. And I lived there for a long time.
Yeah.
And yeah. Let's move on to the next story.
All right, second story. Okay, this is about summer violence. Now, summer is winding down. South Korea has been seeing a lot of violent incidents in the summer, including multiple stabbings in various cities. It was quite shocking.
Right.
And following the attacks, the government has increased police presence in public areas, which is a good thing, I guess. And because of that, the sales of self-defense equipment have also surged. We're talking about those the beater sticks. I don't know what they're called, but and the zappers. Or like pepper spray.
Right. It's not, we didn't cover it today, but then I heard some really stupid guy tested out a taser on a girl at the bus stop.
Tested it out?
Like, it's ridiculous. I didn't even want to put it in here, but I just had to say it because it was so dumb.
Test it out on yourself, buddy. What the heck?
Right.
But so the sales of these self-defense equipment have rose as much as 399%. I should have sold something too. There's debate about whether it's worth the selling of these items and to buying these items, because the cases of violence is also increasing on the side of the story you shared about people testing these things.
Some people are ridiculous sometimes.
Just to see if they work.
Right.
So how has this summer's rise in violent incidents in Korea affected your sense of personal safety? Okay, this is a question for you, Ade.
It has not affected my sense of personal safety. If I can keep it 100% honest, back home is much more dangerous. And not to say I didn't feel safe back home. I felt safe back home. I was just more aware of my surroundings. I don't think the violence here can ever compare to back home.
Oh yeah, it's different.
It's so different.
Yeah.
So even though there may be an increase here, it's just a slight shift in the needle compared to back home. Right? But I understand why it's such a big issue here, because Korea is so safe, right?
It's like a peaceful neighborhood.
Right.
You go out at 3 a.m., you never think about getting stabbed or whatever, right? But then because of this one or two news stories, I know it's shocking, I hate it, but like because of those incidents,
everyone's on edge.
Yeah, they're on edge. They're like buying all these like self-defense stuff. So in response to this, self-defense equipment surged 399%, as we said. Do you think this is a rational response? Do you think the people buying these self-defense equipment is a good thing? Or what do you think the government should do? Or what do you think how people should react to this?
I believe in personal choice. So if you feel unsafe, especially if you're a female working late, subway or whatever, dark neighborhood, not well lit, hey, carry that zapper if it makes you feel safer.
Yeah.
I believe in personal choice. I also believe in common sense and not using it irrationally
Oh, yeah.
or randomly or testing it out on people. That is just totally ridiculous. But I can't tell somebody else, hey, feel safe, right? So if that's how you feel, absolutely do what you feel is necessary to feel safe. What about you?
Yeah, this is a multifaceted issue.
Sure.
I think it's a personal choice really. If you want to carry on a pepper spray, I think it's light and small, so it's worth the investment to just have one in the bag.
Right.
But to be honest with you, when an attacker comes, how fast are you gonna take that out?
Right. It's all that comes into.
So you gotta practice it, at home or something. But how likely are you gonna practice it at home?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So the thing is use your common sense. These attacks, it happened randomly too. It happened daytime, evening time.
So let me ask you this then. Do you think it's a deeper issue? Do you think it's more of a deeper issue with these people, like mental health or something else going on?
I think so. What I heard from Korean friends is that the mental health awareness and the mental health, how people perceive it is not, they don't see it as they see it as what do you call it? Like a disease or sickness,
I see.
They don't see it as a common thing. A regular person could suffer from some mental symptoms, but that doesn't mean they're sick. That doesn't mean they're diseased. It's something that
it's still frowned upon, has stigma, negative stigma towards it.
You can have consultations and stuff like that, get help, but I feel like the society kind of sees people with mental health as people who have diseases that can't be cured.
I see what you're.
So I feel better education is needed on promoting the awareness of what mental illness is. Especially
in Korea where it's high stress, Bali. Yeah. People can only take so much and things are getting worse. People are working much more but still can't afford stuff. It's like we said, it's so multifaceted, right?
It is, yeah. There's no really one solution to all this, but we definitely need more time and more investment in this issue.
Sure. Let's move to the next story.
All right, the next story, Chuseok is coming up, guys.
It is.
So according to this survey by Yogi Otte, it's like this travel tourism company, right? Over 70% of Koreans plan to travel during the extended 6-day Chuseok holiday this year. It's close to a week. The temporary holiday edition boosted travel interest for 93% of the survey respondents. So 88% plan to travel in the country. International travel is less popular due to family commitments and cost. And the average in Korea trip is expected to last 2.7 days, cost around 218,000 won.
It's not bad.
So yeah, that's pretty cheap actually for the budget, right? So do you think the extended holidays like this are beneficial for people's well-being? Or do you think it's stressful because you feel like you have to travel because you get this extended travel?
Right.
Or because of the family relations?
I think it's beneficial for sure. Because people will take time to rest.
Yeah.
But do you know what goes up during Chuseok?
What do you mean what goes up?
Divorces.
Divorce rates?
Oh yeah, skyrocket after Chuseok.
Oh man.
Because the family relation.
Because of the stress.
Because of the family relations, right?
Yeah.
So that's why family relations pressure, right? A lot of people don't like Chuseok, right?
Yeah.
Even some of my friends that are not married, they meet the relatives and, oh Subin, you're getting chubby, or oh Junho, why are you getting so fat?
When are you gonna get married?
Or when are you gonna get married?
Yeah.
Right. So that could play a role into it because before, if Chuseok was kind of short, maybe you don't have to go or whatever. But now there's no excuse. You got 6 days. You got to go see family.
Yeah.
Right. So what about you, David? Any plans for Chuseok, domestic, international?
No,
what about you?
Nothing international. So my parents are actually coming from America to visit Korea.
Oh, nice.
So I'll be seeing them throughout the week, probably, most likely. I haven't seen them in a long while, like 3-4 years. So
Nice.
I'll be probably with them, just seeing them and then hanging out with them. I don't really have any family relations pressures, I think. Travel rush, not really, because I still have work here.
I see.
I'm a freelancer. I gotta work more when there's national holidays
You're
are
working
happening.
man.
Exactly. So I'm not gonna go anywhere, but I might spend some money to consume things. Like,
I see. I'll say this to some foreigners who may be watching. There was 1 year where we got like, if you were lucky, you got like 11 days off.
Wow.
It was like,
regular
yeah, it was like
holidays?
5 days. It was like 5 years ago, where it was
Okay.
like 11 days off. But I'll say this to foreigners listening: plan out your holiday, because if you don't, a lot of foreigners feel isolated because maybe they're friends and they don't have family. It's kind of a time like that in Korea. Plan it out, because you will just be Netflixing and feeling depressed the whole day just inside.
man.
No, it happened to me.
Okay.
It happened to me. So like now, like when I have a long holiday, I plan it out. Like this day I'm going to the gym. This day I'm going for a walk. This day I'm going to meet David or do something. Like plan it out.
Oh, nice.
Just don't wing it.
Oh, I see.
Because you will just be super depressed at home and then go back to work feeling worse.
Oh no.
Right? It happened to me. So that's the advice I want to give to.
Teacher, what did you do on the Chuseok holiday?
Oh, I've been binge watched every series on Netflix.
Oh no, you had a great time.
I like your accent, by the way. All right, let's move on to the next story.
All right, next story. Monthly child care stipends to rise for 1-year-olds younger from January 1st. Okay, so the government will increase monthly child care payouts to parents with children aged 1 or younger starting next year, January the 1st. And so the government announced, or they approved, relevant revisions to enforce ordinance under the child allowance law. And this revision stipulates that the raising of the monthly payouts from 350,000 to 500,000 won for families with children aged 1, and from 700,000 to 1 million won for those under 1. A payout of 100,000 won for families with children aged 8 or younger will be made separately. So I guess more subsidies from the government for people with children.
David, why do you think they're doing this?
Well, I mean, we all know the answer, right? The government wants you to make more children, but would this kind of encourage parents to have more children just because you're getting 200,000 won extra?
I think it's always a good step.
It's a good welfare movement.
Step.
Yeah,
it's a good step. But I will say this: this problem will not be solved until there's a culture shift. Like I said before, if you talk to kids that are like 11, even they're already like pre-programmed. They don't want kids.
Right. It's a problem.
It's a problem. It's a problem, and I don't know how they're gonna solve it. The Korean government has thrown so much money at this problem, like a lot of money. But money can't change the culture. You have to
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say, I don't like politics. Okay. So I don't side with one side or the other. But what I do want to say is, I feel like,
be more direct. Come on, say it.
So this is from what I heard from people who work in the government. The younger generation, the younger folks who are in the lower ranks of the government, they have great ideas. But these ideas get cut off from management to higher ups. It's whatever these folks have in mind that gets promoted and get put into law. So all these young public officials, they have awesome ideas. It could potentially work, but it's these guys with the power.
It's the hierarchy problem.
Yeah, it's what do you call it? The top-down approach. It's gotta be the bottom-up strategy, we're living in a 21st century.
More horizontal work structure.
Yeah, so that's what I feel like with a lot of these new laws coming into place, or new ways to, make changes. It's not working.
I hear that all the time. Some of my friends who work in big companies too. Yeah. Like Samsung, LG, they have good ideas. It just gets
thrown out into the recycling bin.
Literally, right?
And so they get they also lose that motivation to work harder. Right. Yeah. So it's.
So do you think these changes will also make it more attractive for foreigners considering having a family here?
I mean, for sure, it's a bonus.
Right.
It's more of a bonus than anything. It's not gonna make you want.
No one's
to
gonna be like,
children.
I'm gonna have a kid because I'm gonna get an extra
Exactly.
$100 a month. No,
Yeah.
right.
You're planning to get a kid and you get this extra benefit. Awesome. Good.
Right.
But that's about it. I mean, I'm not gonna be like, oh, let's get extra 2 million one and just
Right.
so that we have 3 kids or something. No, it doesn't work like that.
I get it. All right, move on to our last story.
Oh, let's talk about KFC. Korean fried chicken. So the Korean fried chicken market is booming, especially among young consumers using delivery services. This is data from KB Gumin Card, showing the top 10% of spenders account for 41.5% of total sales, spending 4 times the average. Sales have risen 5.2% this year, with a 380% increase in delivery sales over the past 4 years. And most of the delivery is accountable for KFC or fried chicken.
Right.
Not KFC.
I know what you mean.
Not Kentucky fried chicken, Korean fried chicken. So do you think fried chicken is a crazy fade, or do you think that is kind of is just a fading trend?
I don't think it's a fad. Here's what I will say. It's very interesting because I think the CEO of Kyochon Chicken,
Yeah.
he said, hey, like, chicken is not cheap food anymore. Like, remember, like, when we first came to Korea, like, you can get, chicken was super cheap.
Like Manon or...
Literally,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, hey, like, he was telling in an interview, we have to change the way how we think about chicken now.
We gotta rebrand the chicken.
Right, and he was saying like, hey, chicken's gonna be like samanon soon. That's what he was saying, like almost 30,000 won, right?
It is already like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but usually when they change the price, kind of other people follow.
Yeah.
Other companies follow.
Right.
So I just think they're trying to make it more of a luxury food. And even one foreigner mentioned that it's kind of sad that because Koreans jump on a wave really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad they're making this kind of food that really cheap. You can buy it at like fancy restaurants now. Like you never went to a fancy restaurant
Right.
to
have
buy
fried chicken.
they free Korean fried chicken, right?
I never order anyway.
No.
Fried chicken's for delivery or eating at the chicken place.
Chimek.
Yeah.
Right. I can't. Yeah, I don't see that.
So do you think, as a foreigner, you find yourself partaking in this fried chicken frenzy?
I will say this, that, well, for one, I got an air fryer. That changed up things a lot. 2,
So you make fried chicken at home yourself?
not just fried chicken, just buy something on Coupang, season it up, throw it in the air fryer, bada boom, bada bing, I'm a chef,
Yeah.
right? But I will say this, like as my Korean got better and I learned how to use the delivery apps,
Okay.
it's so goddamn easy. But even though I've been here a while and like I'm okay with ordering food, I can afford it, but it was even bothering me how all the fees were just jumping up and how everything was just crazily just increasing. Like I don't want to be taken advantage of. I felt like I was getting advantage of like when all these prices were like increasing. I'm just like, you know what, better off just, and I live alone, so when you order something, it's so big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I usually order like 3 servings of food. Because every time you order, it's like, delivery fees. Like, I usually never complains about delivery fee. But now that I lived here for so long, you're accustomed to the prices here.
Right.
So you get accustomed to these prices, and like, I don't want to pay $3 for a delivery fee. If I'm gonna pay
3, you're lucky now.
like 3,700원 or 4,000원, if you're gonna pay that much, I might as well order another serving worth of food and put it in the refrigerator.
They got you, man. You be over ordering. They got you.
I overorder. So yeah, that's what I do.
Okay. All right. So that wraps up the news.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the foreigner post of the week. David, what do we got?
All right, so let's talk about culture shock in Korea. Okay, we previewed this in the intro. Did you ever have a culture shock that kind of left you speechless? Yes or no?
Oh, all the time.
All the time. You said like every day.
Every day.
You find it in things, right? So we're gonna dive into the surprises, the adjustments the foreigners experience when they settle in South Korea. So we're gonna go over some culture shock posts today.
Right.
That were written by foreigners living in Korea.
Right.
Number 1, They said culture shock was leaving phones on the table while going to order something in cafes. Found our phone back after left it on the train. If it is my home country, phone is gone forever. Totally true.
Listen, man.
You never
Listen, man.
leave things unattended.
If you lose your phone,
Yeah.
that phone is in China within like 30 minutes. That phone is already on its way being sold, or it's gone somewhere.
Right.
Like you have no chance
Exactly.
of getting that back home.
So that's what I did. When I first came to Korea, and I was, like, let's say I came in with a backpack and a coffee store or whatever, and I needed to use the bathroom. Because I came alone, I'm gonna leave everything. I'm not gonna pack everything and go to the bathroom.
Right.
I'm gonna be there for like 30, 40 seconds.
Right.
So I would tell or ask people next to me, can you watch my stuff?
Right.
Because that's what I would do it in Canada.
Right.
If I ever leave things unattended, I'll be like, hey, can you watch my stuff real
Sure,
quick?
sure.
I'll be back real quick or whatever.
Sure.
And they would be like, yeah, sure. Here in Korea, no one does that. They just leave everything on their table. They could go out for half an hour, do something somewhere else, come back. No one will touch it.
I've done that.
Now I do it. Now I do it without asking anybody.
Yeah, I was in Starbucks the other day doing some work, and I was hungry, and I just left, walked around the corner, grabbed some food, ate there, went back, and it's like I never left.
Yeah.
And not for a moment I worried about someone's gonna take my stuff.
Right.
That's only in Korea.
Yeah.
Like not a single worry in the world. Right? It's so bad. Like if you go to like clubs or pubs sometimes where that atmosphere kind of maybe brings out the negative in people. Same thing. You can girls leave their phone on the table, go dance and come back, their phone is there. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I've seen like, Chanel bags placed on the table with like wallets sticking out and even cards sticking out. It's still there. No one touches it.
No one touches it, right?
Which is good. I like that.
Right.
I like that about Korea.
Nice.
All right, so that was our first one. Let's move on to our second comment. They said, extremely introverted society. Seems like everyone is shy by default.
This is true.
Yeah?
This is true, man. Like, for sure, not everyone, but most people come off extremely shy, introverted. I'm a university teacher. I teach my students. They're super shy, like everybody.
Super shy, super shy.
Whatever.
You know that song? You know that song, right?
I think, yeah, one of my students.
New Jeans, yeah.
But like, no, really though, everyone comes off extremely introverted. And here's my problem with this. I don't have a problem with introverted people, but when you get an introverted society, I'm noticing, especially with my university students, semester by semester, year by year, more introverted and less social skills. Right? Because when you're introverted, you don't communicate with people. Right?
Yeah.
And it's just a fact. It's just whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I'll give my students, like, the first day of class, I give them a paper, and they gotta find someone who. So they gotta walk around. Hey, David, do you like ice cream? Sure. Like, okay, what's your name? Whatever. Write down the name, whatever. Some students would be like, teacher, please, I can't do it. I can't. I'm like, bro, you have like a heart attack over walking around talking to people? Like, I'm like, all right, have a seat, like, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like this is a symptom of that being extremely introverted.
It's you can't really blame them. It's the culture that's there too. I feel like, I don't know if it's still like that in the education field, like with the elementary schools and all that, where teachers don't ask open-ended questions. They ask closed-ended questions. Do you like sports? Yes or no? Like, come on, like, you could ask them like, why do you like sports? Or why do you like soccer over football or whatever? Soccer over American football.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I tell my students to ask questions and they're like kind of surprised. Right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's everything's a multifaceted issue, which is a problem. But like, yeah, it's an extremely introverted society, I find as well. That's why you don't see people randomly saying hi to you or randomly commenting on your looks. Let's say like you bought a nice suit, and like it's a yellow suit. No one wears a yellow suit in Korea. I could be like, oh, nice suit.
Just randomly.
It's a random comment from a random someone. And I could be like, hey, thanks. And then you could, have a random small talk.
And
Like,
then
"Where'd
keep it
you get
moving."
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Never in Korea. If you wear a yellow suit, everyone's just gonna look at you and say something in their heads, but you don't know what they're saying.
It's so true. Some of my friends, they said when they went to America for a year or
Yeah.
two, like people just came up to you like, "Oh my gosh, like I love your dress. Where did you buy it?" And they're so like shocked.
Yeah.
But it's normal.
I hear that all the time.
Right. So, anyways, Korea is different. You know.
It is,
Right.
yeah. All right, let's move on to our comment 3. It's almost impossible to find a trash can in Seoul. Oh, I've had this issue for a while when I first moved to Korea, but now I'm used to it, and I understand why they don't have trash cans. Do you know why they don't have trash cans?
I know why.
I mean, there's more than one reason as to why they don't have it. They say if there's a public trash can, everyone will throw their own garbage, like house garbage, to that trash can.
I see.
So that's the problem it will cause. Everyone will dump all their personal trash into the trash can, and so it'll just like it'll turn to a dump site.
Right.
Because there was never a trash can culture.
No,
Yeah. So like I mean, when you walk down the street and you see a restaurant throwing out their trash, everyone just throws out the trash, right? So that's what they see if they have a trash can in place in public places. That's why like a lot of the Korean people, when they have trash, they either just put it in their pockets until they find a trash can and put it in there, or not really have anything outside, like not carry around anything outside. So I can kind of see what the Korean society views as a trash can is not a working thing. So did you find this discomfort? Do you still find this discomfort right now?
Do you want to know the last time I saw a trash can? At home. There's no trash cans outside, bro. Like there's not gonna be one.
Yeah.
It's super inconvenient, but it is what it is. Some things are just a little bit quirky in Korea.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I was in this was a couple years ago. I was in Itaewon, and like in those little like back alleys or whatever. I got an Airbnb, and there's like a speaker that went off like every 5 minutes. And it was by a pool, and it kept on saying like, "Don't leave your garbage here. Don't leave your garbage here. Don't leave." And I'm like, "Is it that serious?"
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, "Yeah." And there's a big pile of garbage there, so yeah, it was that serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, trash can is another topic we can dive deeper some other time.
Okay.
Let's move on to our 4th comment by an expat. Some glass doors have a button on the side to push to open. The amount of times I almost walked into a glass door because I thought it was automatic. LOL. I know this. I felt this too as well. But I don't know. Like I'm half and half on this one, to be honest.
I can't relate with this person. I'm sorry. I ain't walking into no doors. I look.
Yeah.
I'm looking.
You see the door. If it's not opening, you know there's something's up.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Like every door, Korea is a variety of Korea's architecture and how they lay out stuff like that is super weird sometimes.
Yeah.
But I ain't walking into no door, bro.
Yeah.
I'm checking that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what I can say with like kind of adding on to your Korean architecture stuff, I think the Korean architecture, they borrow ideas from, let's say, America, for one company. They borrow ideas from like UK or Germany. They borrow ideas from different countries all around the world. So you'll have doors that are, automatic with the sensor, or you have doors with a button that will open. So it's...
Do you want to know what I always notice? Especially at universities and even some new $1 million buildings. When you go to the bathroom, especially the guy bathroom, there's no door sometimes because you can just, right? But when you're using the bathroom, nothing's blocking. You can just see directly into the bathroom.
Like who's peeing, what?
Literally.
Yeah,
and I'm like, there's no privacy.
Yeah.
Right?
Bathroom is a whole nother story. To be honest, right here, have you been to the bathroom here?
No, oh boy.
It's like a public bathroom. Like I'm talking about public, like no gender. I mean, like there's female cubicle next to a male urinal thing.
Right.
So like, if the lady has to use the bathroom, they'll have to walk past me.
Right. There's no right. I see what you mean. There's no blockers or anything. I see what you're saying.
It's very common here, which is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. So that was a culture shock.
Okay.
The last one, hierarchy. So that thing that makes you say yes and allow others to humiliate you just because they're older or 선배.
David, has it happened to you?
I'm always on the fence on this one. I don't mind it. At the same time, I mind it a little bit, not a whole lot.
Why?
So if you're gonna speak Korean to me, adapt and use the Korean culture as a whole thing. Don't take a little bit of this and a little bit of that. You know, don't be a hybrid, you know?
This guy said don't be a hybrid.
If you're gonna like speak Korean to me, you gotta attach the culture with it as well, the history with it as well. But if you're gonna speak English with me throughout the whole time, you can call me bro, you can call me, you know, swear words, I don't mind it.
Right.
But like, if you're gonna speak Korean to me, you know, do with respect, I think. I think that's how I see things.
I'll say this. A lot of people, again, don't like the hierarchy part. Even like Koreans too, they don't like it. But the people older usually do have to take on more responsibility. And when it's like they go to dinner or whatever, they usually have to pay for everything too. So there are pros and cons to it, to this culture. To me, to be quite honest, I'll say this. This wasn't a big adjustment for me because my dad is Nigerian and traditional respect older kind of hierarchy system.
Yeah.
They have it in Nigeria too. So like when my uncles and like people older than me came over to the house, I have to like bow to them and like prepare stuff for them, right? And I have to like give them more respect because they're older. So when I came to Korea, it wasn't that much of an adjustment for me actually than to other people. Yeah.
Yeah, just to touch on this part, like just because you're older, you have to say yes. I mean, what I meant earlier was like between friends.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
like people I hang out with, I talk to. When it comes to like people who are older or people who have a higher social ranking,
I see.
I think just go with it, and then you're not gonna befriend them anyway. You're just gonna be working with them for like 3 hours to 4 hours, or I don't know. Move on.
Right.
The work is work. Your social life is separate, right? Just go with the flow.
Right.
It's easier that way, I think.
All right, let's jump into our main part of our show today. So there was a news story about how content expats are. So David, can you jump into the story for us?
All right, so how content are expats in Korea? A survey shows that 8 in 10 are satisfied with their life in Korea. Seoul is expensive, as we know.
Right.
You know, housing is ridiculous. Dining, entertainment costs it's skyrocketing. Now, according to a survey by Statistics Korea, he sampled 25,000 expats and revealed that 80% are content about their life in Korea.
Nice.
And while this rate dropped by about 1% compared to 2020, satisfaction levels are high concerning relationships with family members and living conditions, but lower for economic satisfaction. So I guess spending and consuming costs, whatever. Language barriers and emotional challenges like loneliness were cited as obstacles. Discrimination remains a concern for nearly 20% of expats, and the effectiveness of addressing these issues has declined. In terms of policy, a third of long-term residents felt that their opinions were not valued by the Korean government. Access to healthcare is still challenging for some due to language and financial constraints. All right. So what's your immediate reaction to this 80% or precisely 80.4% satisfaction rate among expats in Korea? Do you take it as a surprise, or do you think, nah?
Not really. I think this is a good thing because if you are an expat, you're leaving your home country for a reason, right? So I already think you're coming with a positive mindset, and I think if you adjust well to Korea will treat you back very well also. And I think it's reflected here that like 80%, that's a lot of people. 8 out of 10 people are actually enjoying Korea. What about you?
I mean, to be honest, when you make the mind to move and live in a country, you can't have 100% satisfaction. I mean, you think you're gonna live in a fairy tale world,
Right,
you know?
right.
You're gonna go through ups and downs in life, wherever you live, to be honest.
Right.
So 80% of people living here satisfied with their life in Korea, that kind of shows you how well they adjust to their life here. Kind of shows you that they're content with pretty much everything. They will obviously go through ups and downs, culture shocks here and there,
right.
difficulties with the housing, the financial burdens and whatnot. But overall, things are good. And I think a lot of the expats' friends and communities here, they're pretty content with their life.
Right, for sure.
With the exception of a few things, but that's an average thing that you would face in any other country.
Right. A lot of foreigners that come here, right? Because they all say, oh, like, you've been here such a long time. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to stay here only for a year. And they're here for like 2 years. Oh, I'm leaving. Do you know how many times someone tells me, oh, I'm leaving next March. I'm gone. And like 4 years later, they're still here. Right? And they're here for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
They're here for a reason.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
So we can jump into number 3.
All right, let's move on to number 3. Okay, nearly 90% of foreigners are satisfied with their family relationships, but economic satisfaction has declined. Ooh, I know why. Why do you think there's such a discrepancy?
Yeah, David.
Yeah.
Inflation's real, man.
It is.
Yo, it's so real.
It's affecting everyone.
It's affecting everyone. And I think Korea is no exception. But I will say this. We're Canadian, and maybe Americans can relate to this too. Back home, when I call my friend, they're like, don't come back here. That's the first thing
They tell you that?
they've been saying this to me forever.
All my friends are like, come back home.
No, mine are opposite. Like, don't come back here. They're like, just visit and like, don't come
really?
back. Yeah. And here's what I think the biggest thing is, the biggest difference between Korea and maybe back home. Inflation here and inflation back home is the same. Things are super expensive, but the renting system. I know in Korea people think you can't buy a house, and maybe you can't, but renting is still easier.
It's affordable.
It's more affordable, and if you think it's expensive, just keep listening. Back home in Toronto, to rent a 1-bedroom, it's $2,500 a month. Like minimum downtown.
Right.
And just move like an hour away, it doesn't change, like $2,200 a month. And you're still living in a shoebox similar to where you're living in Korea, right? So I lived in my same apartment, my same office tower or whatever for like over 5 years. My rent has never increased. As a matter of fact, I could have negotiated to decrease it if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Even during all this crazy inflation time, right? So if my rent is stable, not increasing, and everything else is getting expensive, I can still manage.
Right.
But back home, you can't, because your rent is super expensive.
Yeah.
God forbid you get kicked out and have to find a new place, your rent is going to be super high.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this is bad, but compared to back home, it's so much better.
What I can tell you about this as well is another thing I want to add is salary-wise. You know, let's say you can make 100K in Canada or America.
Right.
Good for you, but tax is going to take away like, I don't know, 30-40% of it. And then you have to pay $2,400 a month. And then you have the slow healthcare system. Then insurance, I don't know how long they'll take you to get your money back for whatever reason. Everything is slow, everything is inconvenient, gas prices are high. You'll never want to go out to eat because you have to pay tip and taxes on top of that. So like, you can make 100K, but you'll make the same amount of savings as if you're earning 30-40K here in Korea. So everything is relative, so you have to think relatively.
Right.
Relatively speaking, I think Korea is a much better place to live right now.
Right. And Korea does not come without its challenges.
Of
Korea
course.
has its challenges, but we're here for a reason, right? And a lot of foreigners, I heard a lot of foreigners complain, but they're here for a reason too. They're here for a reason too.
Yeah. So all right. Family versus finance. Let's move on from that. Let's move on to another, I guess, downside with the satisfactory life. Loneliness and language. Now, language barriers were cited by 43.4% as a primary challenge by expats here. I know you're still learning and improving your Korean.
It's a journey.
Do you think it's been a tough experience so far, or do you kind of consider it as a challenging thing, or do you think this has affected your satisfactory life in Korea?
I think if anybody who's listening to this who's just came to Korea or who's thinking about coming to Korea, try to get familiar and comfortable with the language as soon as possible. And when I say familiar and comfortable, it can be studying, but it can just be being around the language and being comfortable with it. Because the more you speak Korean, I noticed that the quality of life has increased.
For sure.
Right. So I'm on a different visa because I was able to pass some Korean tests and get my F visa through the point system.
Yeah.
Right. So usually people say, "Oh, you have an F visa. Are you married?" I'm like, "No, the point system." They're like, "It's a point system?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, you're Korean?" I'm like, "Yeah." You have to go through the whole process, right? But again, my skill is not where it should be. But because I took that time, it definitely has helped me make connections, meeting people, and changing my visa. So it's a battle. Because people think if you live here, you pick it up. Picking up Korean in Korea as an English teacher is impossible.
You're teaching English to kids.
You're living in an English bubble. Now there's students who pick it up and they've been here like 2 years and they're fluent. I know one guy, a Nigerian kid, he went to university in Busan, and in like 2-3 years he got like TOEIC 6 or whatever it is, the Korean level 6,
Okay.
the highest one. He listens to movies without subtitles.
Nice.
Because he's in that environment. It's all about your environment.
Yeah.
And people think the longer you stay here, the more you're gonna pick it up. I know guys who've been here 10, 15, 20 years, and all they know is "Mekju Chuseok." Because you have to dedicate some time to you have to dedicate some time for the language.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. So
It is what it is.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like think about it this way. Let's say you're an American living in America. Let's say you can't speak the English language. You can get by speaking broken English.
Right.
But how are you going to make connections? How are you going to make networking connections? How are you going to, make new friends if you don't speak the language?
Right. But here's the main thing though. When you're in America, there's not another language being spoken. Like in Korea, people will automatically speak English to me. So I don't really feel the necessary need to learn the language, if you know what I mean. I can be comfortable in that
Right.
English bubble.
So that's all you're going to get.
But
that's what it is.
There's a huge cap.
Yeah. So like this is maybe the comfort and the amount of, I don't know, benefits you'll get with just speaking English, but you're missing out the whole another level of different levels of, benefits that you could potentially get if you know the language.
That's why I'm still on this journey.
Like the other day, let's say, this is just a minor example. I met a couple who own a film studio. Let's say I only spoke English, they probably wouldn't have met me.
Right.
Because their English might be just broken English and we couldn't have a deep dive conversation about, I don't know, like about studios or whatever.
Right.
And so if you know the language, it'll definitely help you.
Right. All right, let's move on.
All right, so that was our fourth one. Oh, there's a whole lot more. Okay, discrimination.
Maybe this will be our last one, and we can wrap it up and carry the rest for.
Let's choose one. We have discrimination.
Let's do discrimination.
Okay, discrimination. Nearly 20% mentioned discrimination as a concern. Have you ever felt discriminated against in Korea? And if so, Are, how did you handle it?
People are always surprised to hear my answer when I talk about discrimination. Maybe they think I experience it more because I stand out more or whatever.
Yeah.
But I will say this. I experience, this is my own personal experience, so you can get at me in the comments, that's cool. But I've experienced more racism back home in Canada than I have in Korea. And I don't experience that much racism at all in Korea, but when I do, it's usually from other foreigners.
Oh, really?
Not usually from Koreans.
Ironic.
It is, right. Yeah. And nowadays, I don't experience, I've never really experienced racism like that anyways. But when I did, it came from other foreigners. Okay. And Koreans, because of it's a homogeneous society. Yeah. It's more ignorance. If they are racist or they come off racist, it's more ignorance, which I can understand because ignorance just means you don't know. But the racism back home and from foreigners, you guys know better. That's why I feel like it's a lot more potent or it comes off more different. Right. Because you came from
a multicultural society
where you have experience.
Yeah.
Where Koreans, they didn't have any experience. They'll look at me and say, "Oh my God, you look like Kanye West."
Right.
right? But they really do in their mind believe that, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So you would. So like taking you as an example. Okay. I would see students be like, oh, Ghana chocolate. Oh, you're from Ghana Ghana teacher.
Right.
You're a Ghana teacher. They'll say things like that, but that doesn't mean they have any hate towards you. It's not racism.
Right.
It's something they're just not. They've never met a black person in real life.
Right.
They maybe have seen Michael Jackson on TV and that's about it. Or Kanye West, whatever.
Right.
And then they will actually see a black person for the first time. They're more curious and more interested in learning about you than having that racist hatred feelings about you.
And here's the thing about it: when it happens, you can educate after,
For sure.
and they're open to it.
Yeah.
But when it happens with somebody else who knows better, you can't educate hatred,
No, exactly.
right? So that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah. Okay. Good answer.
All right. So, jam-packed episode today.
Oh yeah.
Very packed. So, if you have any comments, did we leave anything out when it came to living in Korea? Did we leave anything out when it comes to the culture shock? Let us know in the comments. We can maybe touch up on it for next week's episode. And if you have any ideas of what we should talk about, let us know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching.
All right. This was David. Ade.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Peace out. Nice.